Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda. All right, good evening, people. Once again, start of another week, and what an exciting week I think it's going to be. Yeah, okay, can't share out. Kaz can't share out, so I got a message instead of jumping into a screen, guys. So if you could help us out, that would be great. You know what we are all up against, and geez, we got some stuff that's we got to fight for, guys. There is really some shit going on. It's crazy out there. We're not going to spend too much time, but a couple of things I've seen. They're using Pat Cummins now. He's an absolute, sorry, Pat, great cricketer, so-called great ambassador for Australia, but you're a climate nutter, all right? And you should pull your frigging head in, all right, and do some research, because people like you are fucking dangerous, son. All right, you might be a great cricketer, you might be this, that, and the other, but obviously with what you're trying to sell, mate, you have no idea. So raise your flag. We've seen a lot in Britain, and I think it's a pretty good thing in Australia here too, guys. We fly them off the boat, as you know. But yeah, I think it is probably about time everyone just started whacking flags up. All right, and letting the government know, and letting the politicians and your councillors and your council people know as they drive around your neighbourhood that guess what? You're here to look after this country. And it's anyway, it's going to be an interesting week, guys. All right, we got this housing thing going on with a 5% deposit. Well, I'll be sniffing out a rat there, guys, and this will be part of the thing that we exposed a couple of years ago now, I think, which was as they brought this stuff in, they actually own the house. All right, because they own so much of it. You know what I mean? They put up. So again, it's another scam. Get people into the market and then crush them. So again, everyone's jumping up and down. 5% deposit. Once you get on the treadmill, guys, then they've got you, haven't they? Same with a lot of banks and other places now that you try and interact with, guys. They are wanting you to do a selfie. All right, and from that they're using the iris scan, etc., etc. Do not do it. do not comply, because once you do, you're gone. They've got you. And you think they don't pass your information around? Of course they do, guys. Next minute you're locked out of somewhere until you actually, we know who you are. Just do this. We'll let you in. That's where they're going, guys. You all know it. So I'm not going to waste too much time in here tonight, because we've got Deb Lee back on, and she's attacked another thing that is bringing this country down, guys, and it is traumatic with what is going on. So I'm just going to introduce Deb, and Caz and her can work out what they're going to do and how they're going to talk about it. But another brilliant little film coming out by Deb, guys. You can get it off our website and share it around. That's what it's all about. We've still got the witness statement up here, Deb. People still come past every day and stop and read it. The A-frame on the boat. It's unbelievable.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. That's fantastic.
We've got the trailer. Let's kick off with that first, I think.
Yep.
I asked my partner what she wanted to do after her diagnosis with ovary cancer, and she said, I would love to buy a small block of dirt and get some cows. We don't have cows for slaughter, they're not for meat, they're for pets. Trying to generate an income from a small cattle herd was challenging. In 2019, this property started to be treated by the National Fire Ant Eradication Program. And the helicopters were just relentless for months, doing all this area. It was almost like a war zone. One of the horses ran through the fence and got injured, and one of the cattle got injured in the barbed wire fences because the noise from the helicopter was spooking them. They're stressing out the horses and stressing out the cattle. I had my first calf die on the 30th of November 2023. We've got to put everything in writing. I says, I have concerns, I've got some dead cows, some dead calves. I said, I've got some severe concerns, and until they're addressed, I said, I'm not letting you back on the property. To see the extreme behaviour that they went to force entry onto my property that didn't have fire ants. At the end of the day, I am responsible for the health and well-being of the animals that reside on this property. I'm fighting for my choice not to expose my cattle to toxic chemicals. There's obviously something wrong.
All right, so that's the short trailer, guys. So, Deb, fill us in.
Okay, so basically last month I saw an ABC report on some research that Southern Cross University is undertaking with Trevor on a non-chemical hot water solution for the treatment of fire ants. And I know that maybe at the moment this issue is mostly focused around southeast Queensland, but it is a big issue here because there's literally thousands of people who've reported concerns about the effects on both the people and the environment of the chemicals that the National Fire Ant Eradication Program are spreading repeatedly throughout southeast Queensland. And they're not just doing it on individual properties like Trevor. And by the way, my understanding is there's about 2,000 people who've had a similar situation where the police have come and basically forced entry, where people have said, no, we don't want the poisons on our property. Bear in mind, these people don't have fire ants. But what was disappointing about this article was, instead of just sticking to the facts, and last time I was with you guys, I spoke about the Four Corners show Generation Cancer, and how there seemed to be a very big elephant in the room missing out of that report, which was very disappointing from our national broadcaster. And I just feel like, well, here's another example where, instead of this article that was written, instead of sticking to the facts, the report headline attacked the man, Trevor, and called him a conspiracy theorist. And I mean, all Trevor's trying to do is protect his property and his animals and his environment. And he's actually been really proactive and gone out and looked at this non-toxic hot water treatment alternative, which is actually being used in the US. And I can go into more about that later, but you'll see a little bit in the film. But yeah, so again, I want to know the facts, and sadly, if ABC is not going to report the facts, if they're just going to start labeling people and calling them names, I literally hired a film crew and went out and spoke to Trevor myself, and I got the facts for myself. So that's what I produced a short film for people, because, I guess if ABC aren't going to tell us both sides of the story, then it's up to people like myself to go out and do it and let the people know in that way. So I put together this little, just a short film. So, let the public decide for themselves. I don't tell people what to think, and I certainly don't call people names. I just put out the facts, and then people can decide for themselves. So that's what the film's about. And as I say at the end of the film, do you think he's a conspiracy theorist after hearing his story? You decide. I don't, but that's each person decide for themselves.
From seeing the other things that you've put out, Deb, and the accolades you've got, and the awards, and the sorry, I got a bike coming past now. Yeah, the awards you've got, the places you've been nominated for, obviously. Yeah, this is another one. We know the guy's not a conspiracy theorist, is what I'm getting at. We know what they're up to and what they're doing. So again, guys, now we call on you. All right, it's up on the website. Okay, we need you to get it. We need you to get it out. And it needs to go around to your friends and your family. You know what I mean? This is what, and they're going to bring this over the whole country, guys. All right, they're just picking on up there because they're picking on up there because it's a great place to do it. Okay.
Well, actually, I might just bring this in too as well, because it seems to be that people are just getting so jacked, especially farmers, that they're just saying no. These guys at Manu, they had they had a burning party. Have a look at this.
Up in flames.
You can go and get stuffed. You're not getting on our land.
Less than 24 hours after the state government released its new transmission plan, hundreds of farming families gathered in Manu to burn it.
The Labor governments are no good at handling money. They're no good at...
I'll leave it there.
They're very good at handling money the way they want to handle it. They are excellent at it, guys. They've been doing it for fucking 50, 70 years.
Oh, did we lose Deb?
No, sorry. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to talk more about the film, or whether you're going to show a bit, or what we were doing.
No. I just thought it was interesting that I've got that clip in tonight where it just seems to be an assault on farmers at the moment by government.
Oh, look, absolutely. Like, I could talk about this topic for quite a while, which I won't go into detail yet. I let's just say I may have some more information on that topic coming out very soon. Because yes, you're 100% right. Particularly this fire ant program, what they're basically doing is, it's to me, it's a very similar agenda to the COVID agenda. It's yes, fire ants are a problem. No one's disputing that's a problem. But what they do is, when they find a nest, this is how the program operates. When they find a nest, they put a 5-kilometre radius around the nest, and they bait that whole area, 5 kilometre. Now, a 5-kilometre radius, just so I've done the calculations, it basically works out to about a 78 square kilometre, 78 square kilometre area that gets poisoned because of one nest. I mean, that's to me ludicrous. Like, most of these people, well, all of the people that are saying, no, we don't want you on our property, are people who don't have fire ants on their property. And yet they're bringing in poisons, which we don't really know, fully what the poisons, the environmental impact of that, because they haven't done an environmental impact study.
We know what it's doing, Deb. It's killing everything, mate, micro and macro. And that's their idea.
Yeah, so look, there are a lot of people saying that, and I can bring you more information about that at another time. But I just thought initially, I really just wanted to focus on this false reporting. But, well, is it false? Is it misinformation? Is it disinformation? Call it what you want. But all I know is that, how can we teach our children not to bully in the playground when our own media is bullying and name-calling people? I mean, why would you just call Trevor a conspiracy theorist? Why wouldn't you just report the facts? I don't understand this media approach of calling people names. I constantly keep calling out, where are the responsible adults? Where are the responsible professionals that are doing their job professionally and ethically?
If they were, Deb, they wouldn't have a job, and that's the problem. You know, they get given the narrative, and that's what they have to stick with. You know what I mean? It's shocking.
Yeah.
It's you know, I don't know how they sleep at night.
I just find it really disturbing and upsetting that we have many people in the media, not all obviously, but we do have many people in the media that seem to think that labeling people with names is a way to report a story. And to me, that is the last thing they should be doing. That's no different to the bully in the playground, right? Who goes and starts picking on someone and calling them names. It's no different to me. How about we just report the facts? How about we just report all sides of the story, which is what good journalism is all about, and actually investigate the story properly. Don't just put out a little tidbit about one side and then because there's other information in the report that also to me doesn't look accurate. Now, again, I haven't gone into detail on this other piece, but you know, the head of the program said, oh no, we've looked in detail at this hot water and it doesn't work. Well, that's totally in conflict with what the US are finding.
Yep.
And it's totally in conflict with the study results so far that the Southern Cross University, who is partnering with Trevor to do this study, it's totally in conflict with what they're saying. So can we see the evidence? Can we see the data of what you've done to say this doesn't work? Because I don't know how you could have that evidence when Trevor's actually the first person in Australia to license this technology from the US, bring it into the country and use it. So I don't know how they could have thoroughly tested it when he's the first person to actually use this technology in Australia. And that to me seems like inaccurate reporting. So again, he may just be quoting someone from the NFAEP, but nevertheless, surely if someone says a quote like that, you would investigate a little bit to see, is that accurate? So, you know, there's just, as I say, I'm just really disappointed at the reporting. I would like to see the ABC report accurately, not name call people, not bully people. So as I said, I went.
And she's gone.
No. So if it wasn't for people like Deb putting it out there, you know, with us, you know, to give us clips, guys, that we can share out there and get out around the intranet and get into the matrix, you know. So yeah, well done again, Deb. We'll see whether she comes back in, but we can yeah, just kick on, guys, I suppose. But yeah, look, again, it's yours to share. That's what we need you to do. Get it out everywhere.
And Deb's very correct with regards to the reporting or the lack of reporting. And we thank our people for, one of them is Sue Bramler. She has actually filmed this report.
Hi, how you going?
Yeah, good, thank you, ma'am. And yourself? And praying and stuff, well, I do have something to say because, you know, I don't come up to, you know, their house and start praying and doing whatever. So there, I don't think that's right, though.
Yeah. But also the fact that the homeless situation is a big situation at the moment.
Yes, it is.
So this is something we should be protesting about.
Yes.
Something in our own country.
And especially when that cyclone came through last time.
Yeah.
Right, everyone was put up in the hotel. Yes, I was put up in the hotel too.
Okay.
But end of the day, everyone else got to stay or got home except me and my missus.
Yeah.
And then we come back. And then the council took all our stuff, literally, and now we're back again. So, you know, like, yeah, so I'm not homeless of choice. Like, where I was living and my missus was living, they basically told us to get out, and we did, and we weren't allowed to take our stuff. And they took my car and all our belongings. And, so... And rent's always paid, like honestly, like anyone that...
So that was a Palestinian protest, and here they are protesting in the park where there's a homeless person there. It just seems so... I just don't know what's wrong. It's like if it's overseas, then it's worthy of protesting. It's like, oh, well, it's safe to protest something that's over there, but it's not safe to protest for here. So...
Just to answer a couple of things. Chad, first, what's going on with the 31st? We'll cover that tomorrow night, bloke. Someone asked for the recipe on the lantana and that, or the poison to use, guys. Natural, it is, okay? 2 cups of vinegar, 4 litres of, 2 cups of salt, sea salt, pool salt, 4 litres of vinegar, white vinegar, and a touch of dishwashing, just a couple of drops of dishwashing liquid in each mix. All right, get it in one of those things that you can like spray, pump it up and down, give it a good shake, get the salt dissolved. All right, and hit it, guys, and it's brilliant. All right, so it just said 1 cup per 4 litres, but we went to 2 cups of salt per litre because we bought a big 20-kilo bag. So we just stiffened up, but it goes really well, guys. And yeah, it's all natural.
We've got a few court cases going on at the moment. One is Paul, the Freedom Truck. Michael was there today.
We're at the court, so they're just getting the jury in now to choose a jury. The judge has been very fair to Paul, and Paul, he's doing his best. He has a Mackenzie friend, an ex-barrister called Roe, and they tried to get the case dismissed. That wasn't allowed, and so the judge, even though he's been fair and nice, he's the man that sentenced McBride. And recently, he apparently also sent a 93-year-old to jail, so I don't know what that was about.
All right, that's the thing.
So, yeah.
Yep, if you're in Canberra and you can help out, guys, get down there and give him a little bit of backup. But, yeah, that's all on this week. So, yeah, God help Paul. Let's hope God does, and we get him out of there, guys, because he, that was just not right. Nothing's right that these guys do. But anyway, that's what we're up against. All right, we just got to expose it.
Well, that's it. Look, the Two Worlds Collides has basically chimed in on the renting your room.
Holds, and the average size of a home is prompting experts to propose a tax on spare bedrooms. New research from...
This is how they get you, Australia. First it's your spare room, then it's your land. And all the while, this so-called opposition, they're asleep at the wheel. Fresh research is now floating the idea of a tax on your spare bedroom. That's right, if you've got a room in your own home that's empty, the government, they potentially now want to sting you for it. Now, they'll spin this as solving the housing crisis, but I'll call it what it is. It's just another cash grab. And I've got a great idea for Albo and his crew. Instead of taxing Australians into the ground, how about we make the government profitable? You stop this unchecked mass immigration, take care of Australians first, and stop selling us out to corporate, developers and foreign buyers. And it doesn't stop there. In South Australia, they try to give themselves the power to seize your land if they thought that you weren't using it properly. It actually passed the upper house, but thankfully it didn't make it through the lower house, so it's not law. But think about that. They pushed a law that would have let them take your land with no compensation, no appeal. If they called it underdeveloped, it was gone. Experts are calling it a fundamental breach of property rights. I'm calling it a fundamental breach of human rights. Developers say it destroys investors' confidence. Well, I say this is basically communism. That's not a housing crisis. That's theft dressed up as a government. And where is the opposition on all of this? Well, they're quiet as a mouse. Because under Susan Ley, the Liberals, well, they're going backwards. She champions woke DEI policies, the garbage that is destroying nations from within, instead of backing merit and common sense. And the biggest betrayal? Well, that's immigration. The numbers just came out last week. 1,500 a day are flooding into the country, right in the middle of a housing crisis. That's 10,000 a week, 500,000 a year. It's a national emergency, and Susan Ley, silent. That story was a layup, wide open, nothing but net, and she airballed it. Because under her leadership, they won't cut the waste bleeding taxpayers dry. They'll still flood you with mass immigration when Aussies can't even find housing. They won't unleash our natural resource sector to fire up Australian manufacturing. They'll keep running with the same net zero fantasy and the green energy scam, which is doing nothing but driving your power bills through the roof. They'll keep pushing woke agendas whilst Aussies still struggle to survive. And they'll never roll back the mountain of new taxes Labor has rammed through. And here's the kicker. When Australians challenge them directly, when the public puts forward real solutions, her MPs, they don't debate, they don't listen, they walk out like cowards. That's not an opposition, that's not leadership, that's not even politics. That's surrender, that's betrayal, and Australians deserve better. Now, this is Albanese's destruction today. I'm not saying it isn't, but nothing will change under Susan Ley tomorrow. She's a lefty in a right-leaning party, and nothing, I mean nothing, will change if she takes over tomorrow. Her own people can't even sit there and listen to different ideas. They walk out, and that tells you everything you need to know. What's your thoughts?
All right. Now, what's interesting about that is that I've just started listening to a little bit of this report here. So, in the interest of the people, now, one of the things that he
I'm being
says...
quite sincere. The more I dig into what's happening in this country, the more I come to the conclusion that we're drowning in corruption. There's corruption everywhere at every level of the government, federal, state, local, corporate corruption, and we have corruption bodies that are not doing their job.
All right, we'll just leave it there. And I just wanted to bring that in for a little bit, because what he actually goes on to say is that he has a tape that exposes, goes on to say that it's actually because of the pedophilia in the Australian Parliament, and he's saying that he has the tape. Now, I haven't listened to all of it yet. I only just listened to the first bit of it, but I'll be listening to the whole lot of it. But I'm popping that into the chat so that the people can go and have a look at it.
Well, there's been enough accusations out there about pedophilia in Parliament. There's been plenty, and I think the facts are out there. Just that the facts have been hidden from us. And, yeah, that's what we keep searching for.
Well, that's right. And, TAFE has actually weighed in on the UN binding stuff as well with regards to that.
Prepared if we want to. We can share information if we want to. We can listen to recommendations if we want to. If none of that is binding, then what are we signing? And the answer is we are signing up to provide cover for our own government. You have to understand that the number one priority of any bureaucracy, and especially any bureaucracy that wants power or wants to abuse its power, is to avoid accountability. Have you ever noticed that when it comes to the crimes of government, no one is ever responsible? Everyone can point to everyone else. And they were just doing their jobs. But then again, when you look at the person that they're pointing to, well, they were just doing their jobs as well. The purpose of the revised IHRs and the pandemic treaty isn't to force the government to do what the WHO wants them to do. It's to give them cover, the appearance of innocence, while our government does what it wants to do, which happens to be the same as what the WHO wants. The WHO doesn't want the power to impose lockdowns and jab mandates and digital ID onto Australians. They don't want that power because they know we already have a government which is gleefully willing to do all of those things without the WHO having to tell them. That's what we saw during COVID.
All by design, Topher. We know it, and they're just playing their hand. But, guys, it is coming together. All right? The harder they're pushing, so
the more people are waking up.
Yeah, so me and my wife decided last night, I decided that I'd take my wife out for dessert, all right? And anyway, we goes over, we walks in, and two guys are talking about Palestine and the rallies and this, that, and the other, and the burning of the flag. So I sort of know these guys, but I don't know them, they've seen me around. So I explained to them what I'd done, with the news show and that. And, I educated them on what happened with the flag and burning and stuff like that. But they were very, they know. All right. The problem is they're going, what can we do? Our country's gone. All right. And I'll just give you a reason how far, a bit of an example, how far down the line we are, guys. All right. So I have another mate that walked into the cafe while we were there. God sent, man, I'm telling you. Anyway, we starts chatting. And this mate of mine owns a decent-sized company and has contracts. And anyway, he is now told by the government how many shifts he will get paid for in a allotment of work on a particular job. That money he will be told how much he has to pay. And I think it was it costs him $78 or $73 an hour, and he only gets 93. This is where they've cut him down to, all right? He's got to look after his own machinery. He's got to pay his office staff. He's got to do this, that, and the other. $10,000 a ticket for any worker that he wants to put on his company and get done. All this has to come out of the money, yet they're regulating where his money can do. So they're regulating the bottom end, and this is a big company, guys, all right? But again, if you don't want to go along with this, guess what? You don't get the contract. So even, the bigger people that you think are rich in the community and have it all together, they haven't. All right. If you're doing government contracts, you are getting screwed to the world. The problem is these guys are locked in. They're on 120-day payments, 90, 120-day payments. Big money. All right, so they have to continue to roll over. And as they do, the government's just squashing them down. So it is going to get really, really crazy, guys.
Yeah, look, we've got a lot on. Let's have a look at what's on. And the Mondays at Maggie's crew is calling for tools down. It's time to stand together. A corrupt and tyrannical government is crushing industries, stripping freedoms and silencing voices. So join us every Monday at the Governor's House in Sydney at 11 a.m. And on Mondays, don't forget Mondays at Maggie's, the Frank and Charles podcast. They will be hitting the streets this week. Mondays at Maggie's. And the Wollongong FUCCP parade will start on Sunday, September 7th at 8 a.m, leaving Helensburgh, parading through Thirroul, Bulli, Port Kembla, Shell Harbour, Dapto and finish at Stewart Park, Wollongong. There will be a barbecue from 1 p.m. with guest speakers. And there is a public protest rally, Stop E-Karen, no to digital ID, no biometric facial scanning, 1 p.m. on Saturday the 13th of September, Pyrmont Bay Park. And on Saturday, the 22nd of November, there is an Abolish Abortion Australia conference. This will be featuring T. Russell Hunter. And in Victoria, we have the following events. In Melbourne, gather at the Governor's every Saturday to end the tyranny. 10 a.m. every Saturday at the Governor Gates. And join the Justice of the People in Melbourne every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. for a remembrance at the Shrine of Remembrance. And the Freedom Unites Coast and Country Parades will now be held on September the 6th and 7th, which is a Saturday and Sunday. Jodie's inviting everyone to register their interest now. And a stand in the park, Albury Wodonga, are celebrating 5 years. So on Sunday, the 7th of September, they're hosting a barbecue. And there is a court call-out for Dr. Valerie Pears in her trial by jury, County Court, Melbourne, Tuesday the 26th. 10:30 a.m. Let's fill the court for this amazing woman. A daily prayer space is held on X at 3 p.m. So whatever you're facing, come along and we can lift you up in prayer. Every day, 3 p.m. on X. Melissa 146233923.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad thing, guys. She doesn't feel safe because some homeless was camping outside of her office. Really? Okay, yeah, you want to hold them to account, Franco? Get up there with Franco on the Central Coast, guys. Brilliant work. Mondays at Maggie's every week. They do more, the podcast. They're at Saturdays for the chemtrails in Hyde Park. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, the mayor of Port has resigned, apparently. All right, now, this is interesting because they always call us conspiracy theorists, except very often it comes true. Now, this is about a serial killer. So cops are forced to issue a message on viral fear that after a string of deaths on the Gold Coast. Now, the thing is that there have been people on TikTok that have been reporting this. They've been connecting the dots with all of these bodies that have been turning up. And it's only now that 4 bodies found on the Gold Coast was it 4 bodies or?
Yeah, 4 bodies in 4 or 5 days or something, yeah.
Yeah, now, so it's only now that they've been forced to issue that, we might be dealing with a serial killer, but this is people power. So this is open source information where people are actually going, hang on a minute, and they're putting out the information, and it's forced the police and the issue into the public.
You see what they done when the Byron Bay murders, when they started pushing that, it went on 60 Minutes now. Who do they bring out? Ivan Milat. Bring Ivan Milat back into the scene to divert you away from the Byron Bay stuff and all those stuff up and down the highway, guys. This is what they do. Just bring on another one. Oh, yeah, we'll go back and revisit that, and everyone will divert their attention to this because it's Ivan Milat,
Well, that's it. Now, of course, they're going for cash again, but there's also actually, I think we'll just do the firearms. Actually, we'll go to the baby report. So they're actually using lawfare against us. They put in ABC report that we're using lawfare against them. No, it's not. It's them using it against us. We want to restore the rule of law. This is what they're doing to Joanne Howe.
The Baby Killers Club. Now, quick recap, guys. Last October, I posted to Instagram the public figures who had actively campaigned against the live births bill. Of course, there were the predictable hit pieces from the pro-abortion media, and then two members of the Baby Killers Club, Katina Denise and Barbara Baird, hired lawyers to write to me, suing me for defamation. I had 28 days to respond, and I then paid for lawyers who wrote back to them explaining they had no case to answer because what I was saying was true and it was an honestly held opinion. So their case has no legs, and I think we can see that now because it's August and they still haven't taken me to court. But I want you guys to know that we will never stop fighting for these babies, and we will use strong language. If you support late-term abortion, then you support killing babies. You can sue me, you can ban me from the parliament, you can write your hit pieces, and you can throw me in jail. We're never going to stop fighting for these babies.
Yep, well done. Yeah, that's her line, and she's in it, guys. She's drawn a line in the sand, but that's how we all need to fight for our purpose, okay? And if we all did that on the things that mean a lot to us, everything means a lot to us. But, yeah, we can get somewhere. Brilliant work, Joanne.
Yeah, she's doing great. Look, this firearms is really ramping up in Western Australia as well.
A book that WA government doesn't want you to know. It's called DAVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. First, they deny there's a problem. They claim the new firearms laws were fully debated and scrutinised, made for public safety. But Parliament itself has had to send them back for review, which the committee is asking for more time to get through all of the submissions. They deny that other firearms owners being able to see your details is a risk because they've passed police scrutiny, but they won't let you use someone else's firearms. And then they attack, dismissing critics as spreading misinformation. But here's the truth. They are the worst offenders. Call licensing services and you'll get as many different answers as you get operators. The legislation says one thing, the regulation another, the fact sheets contradict both, and the real rules are buried in hidden police policy that they won't even release publicly. So how are West Australians meant to know what's misinformation when even their own staff can't agree? And then finally, they reverse it. They paint themselves as the victims of misinformation, while farmers, volunteers and law-abiding firearm owners are cast as the offenders. They'll even try to sell back pre-written changes as listening to the people. That's DAVO, a manipulation tactic. Deny, attack, reverse. It's not leadership, it's control where there should be accountability. And I'll talk more about.
Yeah, he does it. He's putting it together really well. Like it's incredible the people that are standing up at this moment in time.
Our police force needs to frigging wake up, mate. You know, they're exerting the tyranny here. It's just crap, man. You know, really, anyone who's got a cop, nephew, niece, sister, brother, you need to be really having a word to them. You know, because this is just bullshit. If they didn't enforce these tyrannical bullshit rules, if they just stood up and went, no, we're not enforcing them, and then come with the people, man, would we have a force to say no? A nice, peaceful force with some clout. But, yeah, you cops have got to wake up to what's going on out there. You know, how's your mum and dad? How they going after the shots and the boosters and the flu shots and the poison from Woolies? I wonder, how are your kids? You know, did you get sucked in to give this poison to your kids? Because, guys, you need to wake up. All right, there's remedies out there, but while you got your fucking head in the sand, doing what you're doing, bringing tyranny on the Australian people, you've got no way to open your fucking eyes to have a look because you're fixated on the bullshit that you got to do. And then I don't know how you don't go home stressing about it, but you should be because it's bullshit.
Well, somebody rang me just before the show and they're actually at a hospital and the vaccine taxis are banked up while they're only on the hospital only on the phone to me for 5 minutes, and within that time there were three of them pulling up. They're ramped up. There's no room in the hospital. They can't get beds. A guy had to catch a taxi that had chest pains and then he was told to send the bill of the taxi to the ambulance place. This is in Victoria. So like they're going to come on and give a rundown of what's really going on. But it is coming to light because you've got this where Japan accuses Gates of genocide and they have just declared a national emergency following an explosion in child deaths. Now, on that, this person was speaking to, who was speaking to it? No, it was actually another person that was speaking to an ambulance driver. And anyway, the average lifespan of an ambulance driver at the moment is 3 years because they can't stand the child deaths. Mm-hmm. So it's just all of this stuff is coming to a point, and it's just getting crazy. You know, children's wards are overloaded. The autopsy rooms are flooded. And Japan has basically got Bill Gates in their sights at the moment, which is who needs to be in their sights, but not just him.
Yeah. And then you're going to help set up the Australian people once again, guys. You know, we know what's going on. We'll discuss it tomorrow, but, you know, you're right in the thick of it again. Ready to pull out your capsicum spray on an old grandmother or fucking slam someone into the ground and smash their head in the fucking railway station or chase people and fucking, you know, funnel them down into somewhere where he's going to attack the shit out of them. Unbelievable, man. And you said, what, you just want to try and do it again now? After you've already done it, now you just want to try and do it again? Like, are you kidding, guys? Fucking stand up for the people. Because we know what's going on. We know the directions you are about to cop. And you're going to go along with it.
Well, it must be rant night because Topher's had a rant as well. I had to bring this in. This is Grumpy Topher.
Inflation is theft. Taxation is extortion. The disarming of law-abiding Australians is a human rights violation. Net zero is stupid and impossible. The welfare state needs to be abolished. The welcome to country and smoking ceremonies are pagan religious practices which have no place in our government. Politicians should get paid nothing in any year where they push us deeper into debt. Most of our problems are created by the government doing too much, and none of our problems are created by the government not doing enough. And the older I get, the more I realise that there really is no difference between organised crime and government. That's how grumpy I already am, and I'm only 43. I can't wait till I'm old enough to really get my grumpy on.
I'm 21 years more grumpier than you, Topher. So there you go, brother. And I've had a gutful, mate. I watched this country come through the best part of its fucking life, man, and it is just gone to shit. Yeah.
We're being taken out by God Bless Australia by Jack O'Hagan. So, Dave, if you'd like to wrap up the show and close it, I shall hit play.
All right. Well, we will have a couple of people on from Victoria or Melbourne District tomorrow, guys. We've been tracking in the background of what's going on. Okay, so tomorrow will be a show which will contain a couple of guests and some information about what you've just heard me have a bit of a rant about right then. All right, we are putting these guys on notice, okay? This is nothing about Caz or me not wanting to fucking... I've told you I'm going to the 31st. What we're doing, all right, is we're letting you people know of all the bullshit that's getting set up in the background, okay? So, again, we're going to bring some people into Melbourne to talk about what we found down there and what's going on. And we just need to let you know, okay? You make up your own mind what you're doing, but this is going to roll on, guys. All right? Don't think that the 31st is just going to be the 31st and then, you know, that's going to be it, because I can feel the climate out there. All right? We're doing the Wollongong a week after that on Father's Day. All right? And I think we're going to get a pretty good response, guys. All right? Because I think people are ready, okay? The climate's right out there. They've had enough. They just want to know what to do. Okay, well, we know what to do. There's a few things we can do. Okay, but what we got to do first is educate these people on what's going on, so they'll stand as strong and put their line in the sand, guys. All right, and stand by it. Their line in the sand of these new people is going to be their family, their kids, their parents. All right, we are under government tyranny. All right, exciting week coming up, guys. Good night. Enjoy. Sweet dreams. God bless you.
and land of ours, Australia, this proud possession, our own piece of earth, that was built by our fathers who pioneered our heritage. Here in Australia, the land of our birth. God bless Australia, God Australia, all of the Anzac, the strong and the free. It's a homeland, our own land, to cherish for eternity. God bless Australia, the land of the free. Here in Australia, we treasure love and liberty, our way of life, all for one, one for all. We're a peace-loving race, but should danger ever threaten us, let the world